October 4th, 2022 was my 7-year anniversary of moving to San Francisco. On Facebook, I posted a status update asking if there are any questions I could answer about my experience so far, and I got a couple of responses. The first question was simply, how do you do it? I asked for clarification on whether he meant physically, emotionally, or financially, and of course he said all of the above, but mainly financially. And I'm guessing many of you have that same question. Let's begin with physically. San Francisco is a city where you'll probably be better off without a car than with one, unless you want to pay hundreds of dollars per month for a parking spot, only to sit in traffic when you do use it. Or at the very least, most neighborhoods will enable you to get away with not having a car 99% of the time. This means if you live here, you'll probably do a lot of walking, whether it's between transit stops or directly to your destination. Walking is my favorite form of transportation, plus I'm in good shape and still hanging on to a few drops of youth. So I don't mind it, though the hills can be challenging at times. Sticking with the physical part of the question, there is the weather, which is colder and windier on average than most of California. I personally hate summer heat, so a city like San Francisco that rarely gets unbearable heat waves is perfect for someone like me. Now let's get into how I do San Francisco emotionally. I would say it's lonely, though that probably has more to do with me as a person than the city in general. In fact, for someone like me who has a history of depression, San Francisco seems to offer more to mitigate that depression than other cities I've lived in have. This is probably due to the extensive number of landmarks and countless things to do. I don't have a social life to speak of. Again, this has less to do with San Francisco than it does my intense focus on my career since moving here. I'll keep this section brief by concluding that San Francisco's cityscape always seems to offer something that makes me feel positive emotions in the moment. And of course, the last part of that question was about finances. Everyone knows San Francisco is an expensive city. When I moved here back in 2015, it was for a job that paid under $50K per year. So, how did I make that work? I lived in a single room occupancy for much longer than I would have liked. It had its issues, but the rent was only $850 per month. I made a video about what it's like to live in an SRO, and I made another video that gives a tour of my very messy room. Fast forward to 2022, and I'm proud to say that I've leveled up to the point where I can afford a decent place that demands more typical San Francisco rent. So that answers how I do San Francisco physically, emotionally, and financially. The second question I received required me to make two different answers because the responder made a significant edit to it. He originally asked, as a born and raised Bay Area person, I ask, why did you move there? Every native-born person for the past tens of years has wanted out of California. Why did you want to go in? So, I would say that the popular perception of people wanting to leave California has to do with which groups are vocal and which groups are not. By the numbers, I would assume that the vast majority of California natives want to stay in California. It's just that the people with the most negative feelings about California are also the people who are the loudest about their feelings. But responding to the why I wanted to stay part, it's because I've always liked California's geography. More than most other locations, California provides a landscape that gives me easier access to the most possible activities while offering some of the mildest weather in the world. There's a reason it's the most popular US state despite the relatively small area in which cities are built, and despite how expensive it is. It's because empirically, California is the most desirable state in the United States. Now, the poster of that question edited the question down to a non-question that states, you should leave California. You will find the rest of the nation far more affordable. I've actually briefly lived out of state before, New Jersey, and I've probably visited about 30 states. Yes, the rest of the nation is more affordable, but I have to be snarky and say that it's more affordable for a reason. There are definitely states that offer much of what California offers, depending on your personal needs and desired lifestyle. But I feel like I've collected enough data to know that as long as I'm in the US, California is probably the place for me.